What if I told you that your decision to click on this video wasn't random? That the very fact you're hearing my voice right now might be proof that the universe itself is reaching out to you? Pause and think about that. Out of billions of videos, infinite distractions, and countless possible choices, somehow this message found you. Does that sound like chance or something deeper? Quantum physics, the science that studies the tiniest building blocks of reality, suggests there are no true coincidences. It points to a world where everything is interconnected, where signals can travel invisibly across impossible distances, and where your attention itself has the power to shape reality. That's not science fiction, that's science. And in the next few minutes, you're going to discover why this moment, the one where you pressed play, may be far more meaningful than you realize. We're going to call it the signal. Not a radio broadcast, not a Wi-Fi wave, but a quantum signal, a ripple across reality that you are somehow tuned into. Maybe you've felt it before. A strange coincidence that felt too perfect. A moment where your intuition screamed at you and turned out to be right. Or that eerie sense that something bigger was at work. This video isn't here to tell you what to believe. It's here to open a door, to show you how modern science, ancient intuition, and your own lived experience may all point to the same truth. That reality itself is sending you signals, and this is one of them. So why you? Why here? Why now? That's the question. You could have been anywhere, watching anything, yet you're here. And according to quantum mechanics, that might not be an accident. There's an idea in physics called non-locality, a fancy way of saying events in one place can instantly connect to events somewhere else, without any signal traveling between them. Imagine two particles created together, separated by light years, yet still moving as if they know what the other is doing. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance, but it's real. And here's the twist. If particles can stay connected across the cosmos, who's to say consciousness, your consciousness, isn't also connected? Maybe your awareness is a kind of receiver, and right now it's tuned into the exact frequency of this message. That's why this isn't just another video. It's a crossroad. It's a signal. Something in your life brought you here, whether you call it fate, chance, intuition, or just the algorithm. But what if the algorithm is part of the signal too? What if even randomness has a hidden order behind it? And if that's true, then you're not watching this by accident. You're here because you were meant to hear what comes next. Here's what we're going to explore together. In the next chapter, you'll see how everything in the universe might be woven together in an invisible quantum web, linking you, me, and every atom in existence. Then we'll uncover how your very consciousness could be acting like a quantum antenna, picking up on signals you never realized you were receiving. You'll learn how your attention, yes, the simple act of noticing, may actually change reality itself. We'll decode the strange messages that show up in your life as synchronicities, repeated patterns, or lucky breaks. You'll see why this exact moment in your life could be a choice point where your future branches in quantum directions. And finally, you'll learn how to tune yourself into these signals more clearly so you can recognize when the universe is nudging you toward your next breakthrough. This isn't just theory. By the end of this journey, you'll have a new lens through which to see your life, and maybe even a new power to shape it. Think about this. Physicists spend their lives studying quantum mechanics, yet even they admit the rules of this invisible world are so strange, they almost sound mystical. Particles appear in two places at once. Reality doesn't solidify until it's observed. And once two particles interact, they're linked forever, no matter how far apart they drift. If reality itself is this strange and interconnected, doesn't it make sense that your own choices, your awareness, even your presence here right now could be part of a bigger pattern? So here's my question for you. Are you willing to suspend disbelief for just a little while? To entertain the possibility that you didn't stumble here by accident? That maybe, just maybe, the universe is whispering to you through this signal? Because if you are, then what you're about to hear could change how you see everything, your past, your choices, your future. This chapter was about the signal that found you. But signals don't exist in isolation. They come through networks, webs, invisible threads of connection. And in the next chapter, we're going to journey deeper into that web, the mysterious quantum fabric that ties every particle, every person, and every possibility together. So stay with me, because the signal isn't finished speaking yet. In fact, it's just getting started. Picture this. You hold two tiny particles in your hand. You let them interact for just a moment, and then you separate them. One stays with you, and the other is sent light years away across the galaxy. You might think they're now independent, each following its own path. But the strange truth discovered by quantum physicists is that these two particles are never truly separate. They remain connected in a way that defies space and time. When you measure one, the other instantly reflects that change, no matter the distance. It's as if an invisible thread is pulling them together, like two dancers moving in perfect sync, even though they're worlds apart. This is called quantum entanglement, and it may be the key to understanding why nothing in the universe, including you, exists in isolation. Now, pause for a second. Imagine that entanglement isn't limited to just two particles. Imagine instead that every particle that has ever interacted with another remains forever connected, weaving an unimaginable cosmic web. That would mean you, right now, are entangled with stars that burned out before the Earth even existed. You are entangled with people you've never met, and with events you haven't yet experienced. Everything is part of the same quantum tapestry. And this isn't just a poetic metaphor. Experiments keep proving that entanglement is real. Scientists have measured it again and again. Particles linked across cities, across continents, across space itself. No wires, no signals, no delay. Just instant connection. Think about what that means for your life. Every interaction, every conversation, every person you cross paths with could be part of a web of entanglement, too complex for us to see, but too important to ignore. That moment you met someone by chance? That gut feeling to take one path instead of another? Maybe those weren't coincidences at all, but expressions of an invisible network connecting you to outcomes you can't yet comprehend. This is why some thinkers say the universe itself behaves like one giant quantum computer, processing information through connections we can barely imagine. Every moment you live, every choice you make, every experience you have is recorded in this vast web. And because you're a part of it, you're not just a passive observer. You're a node in the network, constantly sending and receiving signals. Let's make this more personal. Have you ever thought about someone you hadn't spoken to in years, only for them to suddenly message you the same day? Or experienced that uncanny feeling that a word, a symbol, or even a person keeps appearing in your life, as though reality itself is nudging you to pay attention? From the perspective of ordinary logic, these moments are dismissed as coincidences. But from the perspective of quantum connection, they start to look like echoes of entanglement, ripples traveling across the web, touching you at just the right time. The truly mind-bending part is this: the universe doesn't care about distance. Entanglement doesn't weaken with space. Two particles across galaxies respond as if they're still touching. That means separation itself might be an illusion. The space between me and you, between you and the stars, may not be empty. It might be filled with threads we can't yet see, binding everything into one seamless whole. Now, imagine your life as a web within that greater web. Every decision you make sends out a vibration, like plucking the string of a cosmic instrument. That vibration doesn't just stop with you, it ripples outward, subtly affecting the paths of others, and then bouncing back toward you in ways you might not recognize until later. The conversation you had years ago that led you to a new opportunity. The stranger who inspired you without even knowing it. The chance meeting that set your life on a new trajectory. These aren't just stories, they're the lived evidence of an interconnected reality. And here's the twist: if everything is connected, then there may be no true randomness at all. What feels like a coincidence may actually be part of a vast, coordinated dance. You're not drifting alone through an indifferent universe. You are woven into it, inextricably, permanently, beautifully. And the more aware you become of this, the more clearly you can see the signals hiding in plain sight. Scientists still debate the ultimate meaning of entanglement. Some argue it's just a quirk of quantum mechanics with no larger implications. But others, physicists, philosophers, and visionaries, believe it may be pointing us toward a deeper truth, that consciousness itself could be entangled with the fabric of the cosmos. That your thoughts, your awareness, your very being might ripple through the web in ways we can't yet measure. Think about that the next time you feel connected to something you can't explain. Maybe it's not all in your head, maybe it's in the web. Maybe the universe has been whispering to you all along, not with words, but with connections. Delicate strands of synchronicity woven into your daily life. And here's where this becomes powerful. If you start to treat those synchronicities, those coincidences, those nudges, as part of a greater web, you change how you interact with reality. You stop dismissing the meaningful patterns. You stop brushing off the impossible timing. Instead, you begin to see the web for what it is, a living, pulsing quantum network that you're already plugged into. And once you see it, you can start working with it, because the web is not passive. It responds. When you focus your attention, when you align your choices with intention, you pluck a string in the quantum web, and the vibration comes back to you amplified. That's not mysticism. That's resonance. That's physics meeting consciousness. So here's the challenge I want to leave you with as this chapter closes. Think back to the last moment in your life that felt like more than coincidence. The friend who called just when you needed them. The opportunity that appeared at the perfect time. The number, the symbol, the song that seemed to follow you until you paid attention. What if those weren't random? What if they were signals traveling across the quantum web, reaching you precisely when you were ready to notice? This is the truth that quantum entanglement invites us to consider, that everything is connected, that nothing is isolated, and that the signal reaching you now is part of a vast, invisible web of everything. And in the next chapter, we're going to explore how you yourself are not just a node in this web, but a receiver. Because inside your own mind, inside your very consciousness, may lie a hidden quantum antenna, one that has been picking up signals your entire life. You've felt it as intuition. You've called it a gut feeling. You've labeled it coincidence. But soon you'll see it for what it truly is. The web is real. The signal is active. And you are listening. Have you ever wondered why sometimes you just know something before it happens? You feel a nudge to call a friend, and they pick up saying, "I was just thinking of you." Or you sense that walking into a certain place, meeting a certain person, or making a certain choice will change everything. And somehow you're right. Science often calls this intuition. People call it gut feeling, sixth sense, or synchronicity. But what if all of these were clues to something deeper? What if your mind isn't just passively floating in the universe, but is actually wired as a receiver, an antenna tuned into signals woven into the quantum fabric of reality? Let's slow down and think about your brain for a moment. We often imagine it as a biological computer, billions of neurons firing in patterns to create thoughts, memories, and emotions. But some scientists believe that's only half the story. Inside those neurons, inside the very microstructures of your brain, something extraordinary might be happening. Quantum effects. Tiny fluctuations, coherent vibrations, entanglements on a microscopic scale that allow your consciousness to interact with the quantum field around you. In other words, your brain may not just process information, it may detect it like a radio, picking up hidden broadcasts from the universe itself. This idea is controversial, yes, but think about it. Your senses are already antennas. Your eyes receive electromagnetic waves we call light. Your ears receive pressure waves we call sound. Your skin picks up vibrations, texture, heat. But what if there's another layer? What if consciousness itself is a kind of quantum sense organ, attuned to subtle signals science is only beginning to glimpse? You've already felt it, haven't you? Those moments when you say, "Something just told me." You didn't have evidence. You didn't have logic, but you had a signal, and often it guided you. Maybe it saved you. Maybe it brought you an opportunity. Maybe it connected you to someone or something you needed. That's your quantum antenna in action. Now let's connect this to what we explored in the last chapter, the quantum web of everything. If the universe is indeed a vast network of entanglement, then something has to be able to read the signals traveling across it. Otherwise, the web would just exist in silence. That reader, that receiver might be you. It might be your consciousness, forever tuned to frequencies you don't even realize you're picking up. And when those signals align with your awareness, they appear as intuition, coincidence, synchronicity. Here's something fascinating. Some theories suggest that your consciousness isn't localized just in your brain at all, but that your brain functions as a tuner. Like the dial on a radio, it filters the infinite static of reality into the station we call your experience. If that's true, then your quantum antenna is already online. It has been since the day you were born. The question is, how clearly are you receiving? Are you tuned to static or are you tuned to the signal? Imagine standing in a room full of radios. Some are perfectly tuned and you hear the music clearly. Others are just slightly off and all you get is noise. That's how most people live. Half-tuned, catching glimpses of meaning, brief bursts of clarity, then losing it again in the static of everyday life. But what if you could learn to tune yourself more precisely? What if you could align your awareness so that the quantum signals guiding you became stronger, clearer, undeniable? There's a word people use for this: flow. You've felt it before. That state where life seems to arrange itself effortlessly, where opportunities line up, where everything feels connected. It's as though you're no longer pushing through reality, but being carried by it, guided by an invisible hand. That might be what happens when your quantum antenna is perfectly tuned, when you stop ignoring the whispers of the signal and start listening. Now think about all the times you ignored it. You felt something was off, but you went ahead anyway. You knew you should wait, but you rushed forward. You knew deep down a situation wasn't right, but you rationalized it. And afterward you said, "I knew it. I should have trusted my gut." That wasn't just hindsight. That was your quantum antenna picking up the signal, and you choosing not to listen. Here's the radical thought. If your consciousness can act as a receiver, then what you tune into shapes the life you experience. When you fill your mind with fear, stress, or doubt, it's like turning the dial to static. But when you shift your attention toward awareness, stillness, and intention, the signal gets louder. You become a magnet for synchronicities. You start noticing the breadcrumbs the universe has been dropping in front of you all along. Science has a name for this process in quantum physics: coherence. When particles are coherent, they're aligned, resonating in harmony. When they're incoherent, they're just noise. Maybe your life works the same way. The more coherent your thoughts, emotions, and attention, the more clearly your quantum antenna receives the signals guiding you. And here's the beauty of it: you don't need fancy equipment. You don't need a laboratory. You already have the antenna. The only question is, will you learn to use it? So let me ask you this. How many times in your life have you dismissed the quiet voice inside you only to regret it later? And how many times did you follow it, even when it made no sense, only to look back and realize it was the turning point that changed everything? Those aren't coincidences. Those are signals. And the more you trust them, the more powerful they become. In fact, that's exactly what's happening right now. Think about it. You're still here, still watching, still listening. Out of everything else you could be doing, you're tuned in to this message. What does that say about your antenna? Maybe it's already working. Maybe the signal is already reaching you. And maybe this moment, this chapter, is proof that you've been receiving all along. Because here's the secret. Your life is not just random events strung together. It's a conversation between you and the universe. You speak through your choices. The universe responds through synchronicities. Your consciousness listens through the quantum antenna inside you. And once you realize this, You stop being just a passenger in life. You become a co-creator, and that is exactly where we're heading next. Because if your quantum antenna is receiving signals, the next question is, what are those signals trying to tell you? In the next chapter, we're going to dive into one of the strangest discoveries in all of physics, the observer effect. The idea that what you pay attention to doesn't just reflect reality, it changes it. And if that's true, then your awareness isn't just passively picking up signals. It's shaping the very reality you live in. So stay with me. The signal is getting stronger, and your antenna is already tuned. What if I told you that simply by paying attention, you are changing reality itself? Not metaphorically, not as a feel-good idea, but literally at the most fundamental level of physics. That's what quantum mechanics tells us through one of its strangest and most unsettling discoveries, the observer effect. Imagine a scientist firing tiny particles, electrons, at a screen with two slits in it. If nobody observes the experiment, those electrons behave like waves, spreading out, interfering, creating a strange ripple pattern as though they exist in many places at once. But the moment someone tries to observe which slit the electron passes through, everything changes. The wave collapses. The particle chooses a definite path. Reality itself solidifies under the gaze of observation. This is not science fiction. This is a real experiment, repeated countless times. And the result is always the same. What we observe is not independent from us. The act of looking transforms possibilities into reality. Consciousness seems to play a role in shaping the outcome. Now let that sink in. If at the smallest scale reality is influenced by observation, what does that mean for you and your life? Could it be that where you direct your attention, what you notice, what you focus on, is actively shaping the world you experience? Think about it. When you focus on problems, what do you see everywhere? More problems. When you obsess over fear, what shows up in your path? More reasons to be afraid? But when you shift your focus to opportunity, suddenly doors open. When you pay attention to gratitude, more reasons to be grateful appear. You've experienced this before. We all have. And maybe it's not just psychology. Maybe it's physics. Maybe your awareness is collapsing waves of possibility into the realities you end up living. Let's put it another way. Your life is full of infinite possibilities, like a quantum wave. But only the paths you give your attention to take form. That means your attention is not just a flashlight shining on reality. It's a creative force molding reality into shape. And the question becomes, what are you choosing to notice? What are you choosing to collapse into your world? This is why you hear phrases like energy flows where attention goes. It's not just a motivational slogan. It might be a reflection of the most fundamental law of reality. You are the observer, and by observing, you are participating in the creation of your universe. Let's make this practical. Imagine two people in the same city, on the same street at the same time. One notices only the traffic, the noise, the frustration. The other notices the architecture, the chance encounters, the opportunities. Both are technically experiencing the same reality, but their lives unfold in completely different ways. Why? Because their attention is shaping what becomes real for them. One collapses waves of possibility into stress and scarcity. The other collapses waves into inspiration and connection. Which one are you? And here's where the signal comes back in. Those synchronicities you've been noticing, the numbers, the coincidences, the uncanny timing, are like quantum ripples waiting for you to observe them. The moment you notice, you collapse them into meaning. The signal becomes clear. The universe seems to speak. And once you realize your role as an observer, you begin to see how powerful you actually are. You are not just drifting through a fixed reality. You are shaping it with every act of attention. Every thought, every focus, every decision to notice or ignore is collapsing possibilities into the reality you call your life. That's the observer effect. Not locked away in a physics lab, but alive in every single moment you live. And this raises a profound question. What reality are you creating right now, in this very moment, simply by observing? By listening to these words, by giving your attention here, you are choosing one path out of infinite possible paths. A reality where you begin to see the quantum signals guiding you. A reality where coincidences become messages. A reality where your awareness no longer feels like a passenger, but like a steering wheel. This is the secret hidden in plain sight. You are both participant and creator. You are both observing reality and shaping it. And the more consciously you choose where to direct your attention, the more deliberately you collapse the possibilities you want to live. So let's pause and reflect. If your attention truly shapes your life, are you spending it wisely? Are you collapsing waves of fear, doubt, and regret, or waves of possibility, growth, and connection? Because every glance, every thought, every moment of focus is a choice. A choice about what version of reality you call into being. And maybe this is why the signal brought you here. Maybe this is the universe's way of asking you to become more aware of your role as observer. To stop living unconsciously, letting your focus scatter on noise and negativity. To start living intentionally, collapsing the realities you truly want. Because if you can do that, everything changes. Life stops feeling random and starts feeling guided. The coincidences multiply, the synchronicities get louder, and you begin to see that you are not just listening to the signal, you are amplifying it. In the chapters ahead, we're going to take this even further. We'll ask, if your attention is shaping reality, then what is reality trying to tell you? What are these synchronicities, these signals, really saying? We'll decode the hidden messages woven into your experiences. And we'll see how, in moments like this, you might actually be standing at a quantum choice point, a fork in the web of possibilities where your future diverges based on what you choose to notice. But for now, let this truth settle into your mind. You are not just a passive observer of life. You are an active participant in creating it. The observer effect is not locked in a laboratory. It is alive in you, here and now. And the signal that brought you here is asking a simple question. What reality will you choose to see next? So far, we've talked about the signal that found you, the invisible web that connects everything, the antenna inside your consciousness, and the power of your attention to shape reality. But now comes the question you've probably been asking yourself since the beginning. If all of this is true, then what is the universe actually trying to say? What is the signal's message? Here's the strange and beautiful part. Reality doesn't always speak in words. It speaks in patterns. It speaks in moments. It speaks in synchronicities that make you stop and say, "That's weird. Why did that happen?" It speaks in repetition, the same number appearing again and again, the same symbol showing up in different places, the same idea echoing from multiple directions. When this happens once, you might shrug it off. When it happens twice, you raise an eyebrow. But when it happens 3, 4, 5 times in a row, you know something bigger is happening. Think about your own life. How many times have you seen a repeating number, 111 or 222 or 333, on clocks, license plates, receipts, as if reality itself is nudging you to pay attention? How many times have you had a thought only to hear someone else say the exact same words moments later? How many times has an opportunity appeared at the exact right time, as if the universe was aligning to place it in your path? These are the fingerprints of the signal. These are the messages, and here's the key. The message is not the number, the word, or the coincidence itself. The message is in the meaning you feel when you experience it. The universe doesn't hand you a translation guide. It hands you a mirror. The signal reflects back to you what matters most at that moment. If you're wrestling with a decision and a synchronicity appears, it's not random. It's the web aligning to highlight your inner knowing. If you're doubting yourself and you start seeing repeated signs of encouragement, it's not chance, it's resonance. It's reality echoing your own deeper truth. This is where science and spirituality start to meet. Physicists studying quantum mechanics see patterns of information flowing through the universe, encoded in particles, in fields, in the very fabric of space-time. Meanwhile, people across cultures and centuries have described moments of synchronicity, fate, guidance. What if they're describing the same thing in different languages? What if synchronicities are the human experience of quantum information? What if every lucky break, every impossible coincidence is actually a data point in the universe's ongoing conversation with you? Let's go deeper. Imagine the universe as an ocean of information. Every wave carries data, every ripple encodes meaning. Your consciousness is like a surfer, picking up on certain waves while others pass by unseen. Most of the time, you're only aware of a fraction of what's moving through you. But when the signal grows strong, when patterns repeat, when synchronicities stack, you suddenly notice. You realize you're not just drifting randomly, you're being carried, and the question is, carried toward what? Here's the empowering truth. The universe doesn't send signals to confuse you. It sends signals to guide you. The message is often simple. You are on the right path. Keep going, or something needs to change. Pay attention, or here's the opportunity you asked for. Will you recognize it when it arrives? But decoding the message requires trust. Trust in yourself. Trust in your quantum antenna. Trust that the signal isn't a fluke, but a feature of reality itself. Too often we dismiss the message because it doesn't come wrapped in certainty. We say, it's just coincidence, we explain it away. But the more you dismiss, the quieter the signal becomes. The more you listen, the louder it grows. This is why so many people who open themselves to synchronicity report that it starts happening more often. It's not that the universe suddenly changes. It's that their awareness changes. They're finally tuning into the messages that were there all along. And once you tune in, life begins to feel different. The ordinary becomes extraordinary. The random becomes meaningful. And you start to live as if every moment is part of a grand design. Think about how powerful this shift can be. Instead of asking, why did this happen to me? You start asking, what is this trying to show me? Instead of brushing off coincidences, you lean into them. Instead of waiting passively for meaning, you discover meaning woven into every corner of your life. And as you do, the universe seems to respond in kind, sending you clearer and clearer signals, guiding you step by step. Now here's something even more profound. Some interpretations of quantum physics suggest that information isn't just carried forward in time, it may ripple backward too. That means synchronicities might not only be signs of where you're going, but echoes from your future, guiding you toward itself. Think about that. The reality you're meant to live could be sending signals back through time, nudging you along the path, whispering, this way. Right now, don't miss this. If that sounds unbelievable, consider this. We already know that in the quantum world, time doesn't behave the way we think it does. Particles can be entangled across time as well as space. Experiments suggest that future measurements can influence past outcomes. So why not extend that idea to your life? Why not entertain the possibility that your future self, your future reality, is already entangled with you, and the signals you're receiving are its way of pulling you forward? If you accept that, then every synchronicity becomes more than just a coincidence. It becomes a breadcrumb, a marker, a message from the future saying, keep going. You're closer than you realize. So how do you decode the message? The answer is simpler than you think. Pay attention. Trust your feelings. Notice the patterns. The universe doesn't always shout. Most of the time it whispers. The message is not in the noise, it's in the resonance. What stands out? What repeats? What stirs something in your gut, even if your rational mind can't explain why? That's the signal. That's the message. And right now, the message is clear. You are being guided. This chapter found you because something in your life is ready to shift. Maybe it's a choice you've been delaying. Maybe it's a fear you're ready to release. Maybe it's an opportunity you're meant to recognize. Only you can know what the message means for you. But the fact that you're here hearing this is proof that the universe is speaking. And in the next chapter, we're going to see why this moment in particular matters so much. Because according to quantum theory, every choice you make doesn't just move you forward. It splits reality into branching paths. And right now, you may be standing at one of those critical forks, where the signal isn't just guiding you, it's asking you to choose. The message is here. The signal is strong. The question is, are you listening? Right now, as you hear these words, you are standing at a crossroad. You may not feel it. You may think this is just another ordinary moment, but quantum physics suggests otherwise. Because every choice you make, every decision, every act of attention splits reality into branches. And one of those branches becomes the life you live. This isn't just philosophy. It's rooted in the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. In this view, every time a particle faces multiple possibilities, the universe doesn't choose just one. It branches. Both outcomes exist, each in its own version of reality. You go left, and in one world your life unfolds from that choice. You go right, and in another a completely different version of you carries on. Every possibility plays out somewhere. Every path is real. Now think about that on the scale of your own life. Every decision, no matter how small, might be spawning a new version of reality. Every yes or no, every stay or go, every speak up or stay silent, a branching universe of infinite versions of you, all born from the choices you make or don't make. That means this moment right now matters more than you think. The signal that brought you here isn't random. It might be a call to awareness because you're standing at one of those crucial choice points. You may not see the full picture yet, but the quantum web does. It knows your future is about to diverge. And it's reaching out with synchronicities, nudges, signs, trying to make sure you notice. Have you ever looked back at your life and realized everything changed because of one small decision? You moved to a new city. You said yes to a meeting. You struck up a conversation with a stranger. You chose one job over another. At the time, it seemed ordinary. But later, you saw that it altered the entire course of your life. That's what a choice point looks like in hindsight. The truth is, you're living one right now. The difference is that this time, you're aware of it. You can feel the weight of this moment. You can sense that the signal isn't just background noise, it's a beacon. And it's saying, pay attention, choose consciously. Because what you choose in this moment could ripple out into everything that comes next. Here's the paradox. In the many worlds view, all choices happen. All paths exist. But you, the conscious you, the one aware of the signal, will only walk one. So the question becomes, which branch will you experience? Which future will you tune into? This is where your role as observer becomes crucial. Remember the observer effect. Your attention collapses possibilities into reality. At a choice point, your awareness is like the steering wheel. It doesn't eliminate the other branches, they still exist. But it guides you into the branch you experience as your life. You can drift unconsciously into one, or you can consciously choose. That's the power of knowing you're at a quantum choice point. And here's the thing, the signal doesn't come to you randomly. It comes when something important is at stake. Think about the synchronicities you've noticed recently. The repeated numbers, the uncanny timing, the dreams that felt too real, the ideas that won't leave you alone. All of these may be pointing to one truth. Your next choice matters more than you realize. Maybe you're deciding whether to leave a job, start a project, move somewhere new, or let go of something that's been holding you back. Maybe it's something smaller, reaching out to someone, saying yes to an invitation, finally trusting your intuition. Whatever it is, the signal has found you because this is a branching moment. And your awareness here right now could change everything. So let me ask you, if you knew that this very moment was shaping the rest of your life, how would you choose differently? Would you keep playing small, or would you step into the bigger path waiting for you? Would you keep ignoring your inner knowing, or would you finally listen? Would you collapse into fear or into possibility? This is the beauty and the challenge of the quantum choice point. You don't get to stand outside of it. You can't press pause. The wave is collapsing whether you like it or not. The only question is, will you collapse it consciously? And here's something to remember. The universe is not against you. The signal isn't here to trap you, it's here to guide you. If you've been feeling lost, uncertain, overwhelmed, it may be because you're standing on the edge of a choice point without realizing it. Once you do, everything becomes clearer. The coincidences start making sense. The whispers in your gut get louder, and you realize you've been guided to this exact moment for a reason. So breathe. Notice where you are. Think about the crossroads in your life right now. Maybe it's something you've been avoiding. Maybe it's something you've been dreaming about. Maybe it's the very reason this video caught your attention in the first place. Whatever it is, trust that the signal has brought you here to awaken your awareness of it. Because here's the secret. The quantum choice point is not just about making the right choice. It's about making a conscious choice. It's about stepping into your role as creator of your reality instead of drifting as a passenger. When you do that, the universe responds. The web aligns, the synchronicities multiply, and you feel yourself sliding into the branch of reality where your potential comes alive. This is why this moment matters. This is why you're still here listening. Somewhere in your life right now, a wave is waiting to collapse. A future is waiting to branch. And your awareness, your decision, will decide which one becomes your reality. So as this chapter closes, ask yourself, what is the signal pointing me toward? What choice am I being called to make? And what future will I tune into here and now? Because in the next chapter, we'll explore how to stay tuned in once you've made your choice. How to keep receiving the signals that guide you toward the life you're meant to live. How to train your awareness to catch the whispers before they become shouts. And how to step boldly into your quantum future, fully equipped to hear the next message when it arrives. The choice is here, the signal is strong, and the future is waiting. Take a breath. You've come this far, and now the question is, how do you keep listening? How do you stay tuned into the quantum signals that are trying to guide you? Not just today, but tomorrow, and every day after. Because the truth is, the signal isn't going away. The universe doesn't stop speaking once you notice it. If anything, it gets louder. The real task now is to learn how to hear it, how to trust it, and how to follow it into your future. Remember, your consciousness is like an antenna. The more clearly you tune it, the stronger the signals become. The first step is awareness. Pay attention to what stands out. Not everything in your life carries meaning, but some things do. The repeated number, the uncanny timing, the dream that lingers when you wake, the thought that refuses to leave you alone. These are signals worth noticing. Most people miss them because they're distracted, overwhelmed, or too busy trying to explain them away. But once you make the decision to pay attention, the universe responds in kind. The whispers become echoes. The echoes become messages. And soon, you realize you're in a constant dialogue with reality itself. The second step is stillness. In a noisy world, signals are easy to miss. That's why practices like meditation, deep breathing, or simply spending quiet time in nature are so powerful. They clear the static. They align your inner state with coherence. When you're calm and centered, your quantum antenna works better. You start noticing synchronicities you would have walked right past. You start hearing the intuition that was drowned out by noise. Stillness is not emptiness, it's tuning. It's how you find the station hidden beneath the static. The third step is trust. The universe doesn't always hand you a roadmap. Sometimes it just gives you a signpost, a nudge, a symbol that says, this way, and your rational mind will argue. It will say, that's just coincidence. That's just imagination. But if you want to live in tune with the quantum signal, you have to learn to trust the feeling beneath the logic. To follow the breadcrumb, even if you don't see the whole trail yet. Every time you do, you strengthen the connection. Every time you ignore it, the signal weakens. Think of the people you admire, the ones who seem to move through life with uncanny timing, always in the right place at the right moment. They're not luckier than you. They're listening. They've tuned themselves to the quantum flow and learned to follow the signals when they appear. And you can too. But let's go deeper, because this isn't just about noticing synchronicities. It's about shaping your future through them. When you pay attention to the signal, when you trust it, you don't just respond to reality, you co-create it. You're not just decoding messages, you're aligning with them, walking into the version of reality that is calling you forward. Here's the radical idea. Your quantum future is already reaching back toward you. The version of you who has made the leap, who has trusted the signal, who has stepped into alignment, that version is entangled with you now. And every synchronicity you notice, every signal you follow, is a bridge to that future self. The more you listen, the closer you get. The more you ignore, the further you drift. So how do you live in tune with your quantum future? Start by asking better questions. Not why did this happen to me, but what is this trying to show me? Not what if I fail, but what if this is the doorway to the path I'm meant to walk? Shift your focus from fear to curiosity, from doubt to possibility. Your questions are magnets. They draw answers from the signal. Next, act. Synchronicities are not just signs to admire, they're invitations to move. When the universe whispers, it's asking you to participate. You see the number, you hear the phrase, you meet the person. What will you do with it? The signal grows louder when you respond. Each action you take in alignment with it is like adjusting your antenna to the perfect frequency. And with every adjustment, your future shifts. And finally, remember this. The signal is not outside of you. It's not some external voice shouting across the cosmos. It's woven into you. You are both receiver and transmitter. You don't just pick up the signal, you amplify it through your attention, your choices, your presence. The universe speaks through you as much as it speaks to you. So as you step into your quantum future, see yourself differently. You are not lost. You are not disconnected. You are not stumbling through chaos. You are part of a vast, interconnected web of meaning, possibility, and guidance. Every moment is a message. Every choice is a creation. Every synchronicity is a reminder that you are not alone. You are in dialogue with reality itself, and that brings us back to where we started. This video, this message, this signal, out of everything else you could be watching, somehow it found you. And now you know why. Because you're ready. Ready to notice the patterns. Ready to trust your antenna. Ready to shape your reality through attention. Ready to decode the messages woven into your path. Ready to stand at the choice point with your eyes open. Ready to tune into your quantum future. The signal has reached you. The question now is not whether it's real. The question is, will you listen? Will you follow? Will you trust? Because your future is already calling. And the moment you say yes, the moment you tune in, you step into a life where nothing is random, where everything is connected, and where the universe itself is your companion. So here we are. This is not the end. This is the beginning. The signal will keep speaking. The web will keep guiding. Your antenna will keep receiving. And now you know how to listen. Your quantum future is waiting. It always has been. And now so are you.